Logan turned to Kai and ordered, "Take command." Kai froze, surprised and confused. "What? I thought our plan was to attack from outside the enemy's range. Are you saying you are going into the middle of the fight?" But Logan was already gone. With no time to process, Kai shouted to the others, "Cover Logan!" Meanwhile, Logan's father was barely holding his ground against 5 knights. The enemy's high-ranking knight, a man with a crazed look in his eyes, charged recklessly. He seemed willing to sacrifice himself to bring Logan's father down. With a wild smile, the knight plunged his sword into Logan's father, only to be stabbed himself in return. Logan's father growled in frustration and shock. He knew he'd get stabbed, yet he still went through with it? His anger turned to suspicion as he noticed the other knights behaving strangely. They were relentless, throwing themselves at him as if desperate, even though they had the upper hand. Something wasn't adding up. The brutal fight wore on, and Logan's father was beginning to falter under the relentless assault. Just as he felt his strength waning, Logan burst onto the battlefield, charging fiercely and cutting down 2 knights who had surrounded his father. Logan skidded to a stop in front of his father, sword raised protectively. His dramatic arrival drew a mixture of pride and concern from his father, who asked, "How did you get through all those enemies?" He glanced behind, stunned to see the trail of defeated foes. "When did you get so strong?" he asked, his voice both awestruck and wary. But before Logan could answer, his father shifted his tone. "Do we have the upper hand in this battle?" Logan grinned confidently. "Of course." Hearing this, his father finally relaxed, allowing himself a moment of relief. "You've done well, Logan." The enemy's high-ranking knight observed the exchange with growing fury. His jaw tightened as he watched Logan effortlessly push back 2 intermediate knights. A 20-year-old country bumpkin, overpowering knights who've trained for years? How absurd! He barked at his troops, "Get up, back in position." Then, turning his gaze to Logan, he resolved, "This brat must die here." Logan's father, watching his son closely, realized Logan was not yet at the level of a high-ranking knight. However, his ability to handle intermediate knights with ease gave him an idea. "Logan," he began, "you deal with the intermediate knights." Logan interrupted, "No, I'll face him." He pointed his sword at the high-ranking knight. His father frowned. "He might be too much for you." Logan grinned and gave his father a playful punch. "In your current state, even I could beat you, old man. Trust me, let me handle this." His casual confidence and the seriousness in his eyes convinced his father. With a nod, he said, "Be careful." The 2 men stood back to back, ready for battle. Logan's father braced himself for the oncoming intermediate knights, while Logan fixed his gaze on the high-ranking knight. The knight noticed Logan's approach and felt insulted. His grip on his sword tightened as rage coursed through him. Logan didn't care about the knight's feelings. Sword in hand, he charged forward, leaping into the air and bringing his blade down with immense force. The high-ranking knight blocked the strike but was pushed back, his feet skidding against the ground. "How?" the knight thought, stunned. "I'm wounded, yes, but there's no overwhelming aura of power from him. He's just an intermediate knight." Assuming Logan must have pushed himself to his limit, the knight launched a counterattack, thinking to end the fight quickly. Their swords clashed in a furious exchange, but Logan gradually gained the upper hand. Despite his skills, the high-ranking knight's injuries slowed him down. Realizing his disadvantage, he devised a plan. Feigning weakness, he began absorbing the force of Logan. So when Logan noticed that his force from his sword is getting absorbed on enemy sword, shifted his stance slightly, the knight saw his opening. He lunged for a critical blow, confident the fight would end there. But Logan dodged at the last moment, leaving the knight staggered and confused. How did he move so quickly? Logan didn't waste the moment. Drawing a deep breath, he prepared his divine sword's secret form, First Slash. The high-ranking knight's eyes widened as he sensed the incoming attack. Panic replaced his arrogance as he turned to flee, but it was too late. A blinding wave of energy surged from Logan's blade, cutting through the air and striking the knight down. The sheer brilliance of the attack caused the entire battlefield to pause for a moment. Logan stood over his fallen opponent, his breathing steady and his expression resolute.